Hello guys and gals, me Mutahar. North Korea did it. Yep. North Korea stole the money. Remember way back, not way back, but in March, we actually looked at a hack with an online NFT-based game known as Axie Infinity, where, believe it or not, $600 million dolans got stolen. Now, at the time, we had no idea who stole the money. But ladies and gentlemen, it seems like the FBI was putting in the extra hours, and they found out the North Koreans were behind it. Now, remember a while back when I made a video talking about North Korea's Lazarus Group? Yes, North Korea's elite state-level hacking group that basically did a lot of operations around the world, partook in bank heists, if you will, and numerous cyber attacks all over. They're a pretty notorious group. But they were the ones that apparently got fingered by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. The FBI continues to combat malicious cyber activity, including the threat posed by the Democratic People's Republic of Korea to the United States and our private sector partners. If it's one thing to get the U.S. government on something, it's either oil or it's fucking money, okay? You mess with those two things, they ain't screwing around. Through our investigations, we were able to confirm Lazarus Group and Act 38, which is another group, cyber actors associated with the DPRK, are responsible for the theft of $620 million in Ethereum, reported on March 29th. The FBI, in coordination with the Treasury and other U.S. governmental partners, the OFAC, will continue to expose and combat the DPRK's use of illicit activities. So again, ladies and gentlemen, the FBI fingered them. Now, to understand how did the FBI come to this conclusion, obviously, as Axie Infinity worked with the United States government, they came across, basically they analyzed how the hack was done. They found a few profiles that fit nation-state level hacking. And then, of course, they were able to identify with further investigation that most likely the actual hack, the tools, the connections, everything originated from North Korea itself. Again, ladies and gentlemen, to remind you, nation-state hacking is not new. It's been around forever. And basically, when the hack is of the highest level, done by a nation-state, which basically gives them relative impunity, okay? Nobody's gonna get busted. Nobody's going to get extradited, and the resources to commit hacks are near infinite. And to start off with resources, you don't need a whole heck of a lot of them. A lot of big countries have hacking groups, right? The Russians have their military, the United States has the National Security Agency, and the Chinese have Cicada and numerous other agencies out there, numerous cyber groups that are oftentimes connected with the government, explicitly or, through some level of proxy. Now, of course, even countries like North Korea, which is known for its staggering poverty, it has enough resources to commit to cyber attacks. It does not cost a lot of money to do cyber attacks. You need computers, you need connections, and you need trained, talented engineers. These three resources, North Korea has plenty of. In fact, for a long time, they've been training them. Now, if you actually looked into North Korea lately, it's one of the most interesting topics to me, okay? I always like covering North Korean propaganda. I always like covering anything out of the Hermit Kingdom, because that one part of the world that I can't touch, that I can't walk into, always has me excited, okay? It's kind of like when you tell somebody, don't press the button, don't step on the grass. They're gonna want to step on the goddamn grass. So here's North Korea lately. They've been really shilling these high-rise apartments. To show you how hard the propaganda machine is, these people decided, hey boys, we have light bulbs. Did we tell you? They turn on every single light in these fucking penthouses to tell you that, yes, we can afford electricity. Here you can see North Korean Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un telling people, boys, check out these apartments. Everyone, like, this lady's already praying to God. I mean, look at this guy. He just discovered that you could use, like, code SOG on gfuel.com, by the way. Look at how happy this man is. And what do these apartments look like? Check it out, ladies. We got a mattress. I will say it doesn't look half bad, to be honest with you. I mean, my head would probably hit the ceiling immediately, but then again, unfortunately, I'm one of those tall people. That said, though, wait, is that a tear? Gross. That said, though, that'll give you a rough idea of where the priorities are at, okay? Not focusing on food, not focusing on anything, but rather building ballistic missiles that keep falling into the Sea of Japan and pounding your chest heavily to every country out there that dare opposes you. Now, listen, all right? That being said, okay, the economy of North Korea is not substantial by any amount, okay? They make billions of dollars a year. There's actually not even enough data to go on because it's the Hermit Kingdom. Nobody has any idea what's going on in the country, for real, unless you're there millionaire and part of the elite. So there's billions of dollars to be made, but really the elite in North Korea, beyond just Kim Jong-un, really have the ability to have massive estates, massive mansions, if you will, yachts and whatnot. Actually, it's rather interesting. You can actually see what North Korean, billionaires row looks like. Like here you can see this is Chungwang Street, which is actually in Pyongyang, and you can see literal mansions. This is Mansion Row. This is where the city's elite live. Down over here you can see Hodo Peninsula, where Kim Jong-un moors his super millionaire yacht. And since people aren't going out to Dubai for the nice juicy beaches, here's Wonsan Kalma, which is their own variant of Dubai's beaches, okay? Just literally for the elite, for the few elite that live there in the country. Now, this group, Lazarus, to get back on track to the situation, is known with plenty of different names, okay? For instance, they just literally got a designation update. They're known as Appleworm, Hidden Cobra, Office 91, Red Dot, Temp Dot Hermit, Guardians of Peace, and also the new romantic cyber army team. This is from the OFAC list, which is from the US Department of Treasury, okay? So this is literally the Office of Foreign Asset Control. They're constantly being monitored, okay? They have been sanctioned. These people have been put on most wanted lists, and the moment they ever touch a US soil or any other country that the US has the ability to bust you in, they will promptly be arrested and serving a lot of time in a prison cell. Now, lately, it seems like nation-state level hacks have grown. Obviously, we talked about Russian and the Russian-Ukrainian cyber war that's currently happening all over the world. But recently, countries like China, who have links to groups like Cicada, have actually launched their own attacks through popular open-source programs like VLC Player. Do you use VLC Player? Well, you might want to make sure you're not running a compromised version, because some of the hacks are actually targeting governmental institutes and organizations that the Chinese government is interested. So yeah, literally the broad range of attacks is happening all the time. Now, of course, one thing to understand, when we go back to the Axie Infinity hack, what we need to look into is the Ethereum account that has stolen the money. To this day, they are sitting on $439 million in that account right now. So they have been basically targeted and identified. This address, and there's no doubt every exchange around the world, all right, that's operating with Ethereum has already blacklisted this address and the various addresses that it connects and deposits with. So, of course, literally an hour ago, okay? An hour ago, they were sending money around. But a day ago, in fact, a few days ago, they were actually sending money to this OXBC5639 address to the tune of 2,915 Ether. Do you want to know how much that is? That, my friends, is at the time $8.8 million that they sent. And that wallet address is a Tornado Cash router, which they've been sending blocks of 100 Ethereum, 100 Ethereum, 100 Ethereum. And this has been an activity that's been going on for just a day. So over the course of a day, they've been sending it to this router constantly. So what is Tornado Cash? Tornado Cash, ladies and gentlemen, is basically this tool right here. I've shown it time and time again anytime I cover influencer crypto scams. Anytime somebody scams out of cryptocurrencies or they illegally raise funds, every time, 9 times out of 10, it always hits Tornado Cash. Now, Tornado Cash is all there literally for privatizing the chain, right? The on-chain, if you will. It's there to help anonymize people that potentially have wallets out there that have already been name tagged or, have been exposed. And the idea of it is pretty, unique. And it's literally trying to anonymize you. But the reality is, all right, a lot of people will choose to use this to launder assets, such as that stolen cryptocurrency. Now, earlier when I covered this, I talked about what happens with these cryptocurrencies, right? Even if you steal hundreds of millions of dollars, which you have right here, when it comes to stolen cryptocurrency, unless it's done in an exchange that governments have control over or are operating on their soils and they have legal jurisdiction, they can then send agents to seize it. The FBI has done it numerous times. Sometimes if the FBI can detect where that currency is stored physically, they could send an actual team to go and raid and retrieve that stuff, to forfeit those assets. But if this asset is stored on their own wallets, their own hardware wallets, their own chains, then seizing it becomes much more difficult. But that doesn't mean that that money can easily be used. Because of the blockchain, and this is one big advantage of it, is that because every transaction is traceable, again, remember the saying, men lie, women lie, the blockchain does not lie. Because of that, you can trace where every transaction necessarily goes to. The problem with real currency, like fiat currency, is that there are so many ways to run businesses, shells, partnerships, move money around between different countries, banking institutions, that while it doesn't become impossible to trace, there are so many twists and turns that it almost causes a big issue for many organizations that are tracing it. However, for transactions in the cryptocurrency world, it's literally just following the money, literally following the money. So while a lot of people can blacklist addresses, right? And basically, because addresses get blacklisted, some exchanges may never choose to operate with those specific addresses. And oftentimes, because of chain analysis software, if the address is blacklisted and it starts sending money to other addresses to get by those blacklists, those further addresses can then also be blacklisted by the bigger exchanges. However, not every exchange has to ever follow those rules. But because of chain analysis software, a lot of individuals have actually went down and analyzed how to trace these coins if they have went through things like Tornado Cash to try to be laundered. And in some cases, the actual analysis is way, way too deep. There's a lot of addresses this goes through. And really, while those blocks end up becoming an issue over time, it's literally the size of laundering that can oftentimes cause you. In some cases, you'll have hacker wallets that send to numerous small wallets that constantly send to other wallets, and then those blocks get sent. So as we saw earlier, where they were sending 100 ETH, 100 ETH, 100 ETH, that can all be sent to Tornado Cash and split up into numerous blocks. However, because you can trace each of these wallets, it doesn't lead to complete anonymity. And oftentimes, because of the size of money being laundered, that can oftentimes expose you. It's a lot easier in practicality to clean $100 worth of dirty cash than it is to clean $10 million worth of dirty cash. What we're looking at right now is over $500 million in digital assets that have to be cleaned before they're used by the North Korean elite or the North Korean regime at the moment. So there's some silver linings here. That doesn't mean that this heist was a failure. In a lot of ways, since they've stored the money and they have that nation state backing, it seems as though they're kind of going to get away with it at the time being, right? Once that money is stolen and it's out of the ability to be forfeited, all bets are kind of off, right? And now at this point, once the actual hack is done, the real challenge is cleaning that Ethereum in order to actually use it. But again, there's plenty of tools that have started to be fixed up. So for instance, here's Slow Mist AML, which is actually a company, one of many companies that is dealing with tracking the actual blockchain and trying to find out all of these Tornado Cash type things, trying to find out any of these launder type coins. Again, it's not foolproof, it's not easy, but as the technology evolves, as regulations build up, it's going to become easier to trace this stuff in the darkness of the blockchain. And also, if you're an influencer, because of the various laws that are starting to be passed and the various divisions that are being formed in law enforcement circles, if you ever scam people out of money in Ethereum and you're thinking you're about to get away with it, well, I spent the last 2 months talking to people on both sides, really, of the law. And it seems like the hammer is on its way coming down. In fact, we've seen it time and time again in very recent weeks with various actors out there, various large groups. So it's only time before the hammer starts dropping on the smaller to micro level individuals involved in scamming money. Remember, anytime millions of dollars get stolen, it's some serious stuff. The law enforcement gets involved. They might be slow, but when it comes to federal agencies like this, they have really high conviction ratings for a reason. Once that case is built solid as fuck, you're basically gone on your way to prison. It is what it is. You better start lubing up them cheeks and you better start building up that deal. It's actually interesting when you look at North Korea itself too. Just as a nation-state level country, they've been training cyber warriors for a long time, cyber attackers. In fact, here's a US Army report which even details, even all the way back to the early 2000s, groups known as Bureau 121, which fields at least 1,000 elite hackers in 2010 alone who focused on other countries' computer systems. They're attacking everyone, beyond the US, every single buddy, even their friends maybe. This number is likely much higher. As of 2009, North Korea's Miriam College was graduating 100 cyberspace hackers per year. Yes, they literally have a college where they train actual cyber attackers. That's how big of an industry, that's how important to the economy of North Korea's elite it is to do this, because it's a lot easier for them to run digital asset heists and cyber attacks than it is doing anything else to make money. Remember, these guys have impunity. They're an entire country doing this. And until the day comes where these attacker groups actually hit US Army infrastructure or God forbid take down power grids, which is a lot harder than it sounds, trust me. Nobody's going to hunt them down, even if they're stealing millions upon millions of dollars. Once you kick Uncle Sam in the nuts directly, at that point, all bets are off. That's considered an act of aggression. That's like an act of war. And you better hope at that point that you have like a poison pill to swallow, because when the SEALs show up, they put 2 in the chest, 1 in the head, and they call it done. I don't know. In the end, it's an actual heist done by North Korea, which is fun to really look at, and it's fun to really go over the history of North Korea. There's not much we ever come across with the actual Hermit Kingdom. In fact, here's a website going all the way back to 2003, if you will, 2002, from the National Intelligence Service, where they literally have postings from Mirren College. In fact, even North Korea, back in 2002, believe it or not, they had their own casino online. You could actually go on and gamble back in 2002. They literally had their own lottery services where you could do lotto sites, literally like 777s from the North Korean government. They had their own online gambling site. Now it's not really there, but this is like the history. There's few sites that come from North Korea, but the ones that are there are always an interesting mix to go in. And I really want to ask you a question. If you want me to go through the all of North Korea's external-facing internet sites as a video, that would be a banger. Let me know in the comment section below if that's what you want. But yeah, that's one of the things they did. Just a quick little side note. To be honest with you, the level of propaganda before we finish off is so huge that every time you grab the little Google Street View guy, they absolutely have all of the propaganda tied to a T. These are the only photos you're ever allowed to see out of the Hermit Kingdom. Look at this one in the park here too. You can actually see like how this is like the only photo that somebody has ever posted of a North Korean like park. And there's like fucking 20 weddings or something that are going on too at the same time. There's like one person with like a smartphone. It's like, here we go. We got technology in the country, buccos. And it makes me feel bad, though, honestly, as people don't really ever really know that there's an entire world outside of theirs. It's a totally propagandized thing, but we're getting out of the whole situation. I really wanted to cover what happened. It's really a finale to what had happened, like the money that got stolen, because at the end of the day, there's not really going to be much more that comes out of it. The money was stolen. It was stolen by North Korean hackers, and because it's a nation-state country, nation-state level event, there's not really going to be any forfeiture of that assets, okay? They stole the money, they got away with it, and it's just one more notch under the belt of the Lazarus Group. One of the most infamous, notorious criminal cartels, cyber criminal cartels that actually exist. So ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed today's video, if you actually liked what I did, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. And I'm actually interested if you do want me to cover those North Korean websites, because I'd love to go on a spelunking adventure. We haven't done like deep web stuff in a while, but it would be really fun to do a North Korean web stuff. That would be super interesting. That said though, this is me, Muda, and I am out.